1, 2, 3. Hi everyone, today's guest is Jean-Pierre Grootaerd, a dedicated voluntary member at the Department of Physics and Astronomy at Ghent University and the Public Observatory Armand Pien. He's also an active member of the Eurospace Society, the organization founded by astronaut Dirk Frimout to encourage young people's interest in space exploration. Jean-Pierre is a passionate, self-taught and made astronomer, a quality I personally deeply admire, especially as someone who simply purchased a telescope while he has built his own and sharing his knowledge tirelessly with everyone. His lifelong fascination with astronomy and space travel began in childhood and has stayed with him ever since. And now I will hand it over to Jean-Pierre, as I find myself a bit awestruck in the presence of someone with such remarkable dedication. So, Jean-Pierre, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
You have done a wonderful introduction. So, my name is indeed Jean-Pierre Grootaerd. I'm a self-dedicated man, that's right. I'm passionate about astronomy, but about science in general, about everything. And my aim is to educate young people around the world, not only in astronomy, but in science in general.
In most of the interviews, you mentioned, I quote, "My love for astronomy began in childhood, when I was often outside due to sickness that kept me gazing at the sky." How did you maintain your curiosity and passion over such a long period of time? And how important was the role of self-learning in your journey, if any?
That's a small question with a long answer. Because, okay, I'm 68, born in 56 last century, but it's just my nature. It's just my nature to learn new things. Since I was born, I was curious in everything I saw, curious in everything I didn't know, so I want to learn. And it's a passion. I have never the chance to study, by family reasons, but okay, never mind. It never stopped me. It's never stopped me to learn new things until now. Because, okay, I'm involved in a lot of things in astronomy, International Astronomical Union, in space flight, and so on and so on. But it's a win-win situation. I try to teach new things at young people, but otherwise I learn a lot about the youngsters also. Because, for example, they are born with a computer. They are born with an iPhone. For me, it was all new. So I must learn something from them. That's a win-win. And that creates something. That creates a passion. So how can you hold a passion your life long? Just to be curious and everything. It's as simple as that. Just be curious for lifelong.
Did you have any difficulties or challenges in your life?
Oh, difficulties. That's a wonderful thing. When everything goes too easy, it's not fun anymore. In my opinion, it's really not fun anymore. It's trigger me when I must fight for something. Because then, when you must fight for something, when somebody told me you can't do that. You can't do that, it's quite impossible. Okay, why it's impossible? If you don't try it, why should it be impossible? At least try it. And when something doesn't work, try to find it out why you didn't succeed. Try it on another way. And most of the time, at last, you will succeed. And if you don't, you have something new learned. You have learned why. Yeah?
So, back in 2015, during that fateful train trip, which the story I found from some of the other interviews, where the idea for Starshine for Everyone was born. Did you have any idea it would still be going strong nearly a decade later? Can you take us back to that key moment? Was there something special about that particular train trip, or has this idea been brewing for a while, waiting for the right moment to take shape? Also, could you share how the project has evolved over the years and what your optimistic vision is for the next 10 years?
Hold on. The train trip was in 2014, but the story started when I was 13 years old. Really? Because, you mentioned it in the beginning, I was, in my childhood, a sick boy. That's wonderful. That's the best thing in life you can imagine. You know why? Well, when I was 13 years old, I got 13 surgeries. It's a nice number. And it doesn't matter, because when I was awake, my father was there with a book. I love reading, and I still do. And when I was 13, on the surgery, I wake up, opened my eyes, saw my father with empty hands. This was not okay. So I was crying. I was crying in the hospital, but very loud. He's running to the first bookshop he saw, and he bought me, I can show you, bought me a book. It's in Dutch. Tim's Sterrenboek. So it was about stars. It was about stars, and it was written in 1969. The writer of this was Bruno Ernst. Bruno Ernst was a priest, was a mathematician. He has written in his book in his life over 230 books. So that's not long. So he bought me this book, and there was written how you make a telescope. Okay. I was 13 years old. I was too young to get it all, but I have written it more than once. And at a certain time, so 13 years, I became 50. And I found this book, because you got married, children, no time to build a telescope. And when I was 50, I said, Jesus, before I die, I must build a telescope. Okay? But I build telescopes here in Ghent and in Antwerp. I'm living in Ostende, near the coast, so Ghent was more nearby. I came in Ghent, and I asked now my colleague, Guy Wouters, how many months does it take to build a telescope? And he told me, when you come every week, on Wednesday, it was on Wednesday at that time, and you come once a week, 4 or 5 hours in a week, it take 10, 11 months to build a telescope. 10, 11 months? I have no words. No, that's too long. And I started, and 3 months later, my telescope was ready. And I said, yeah, and now I have built my telescope. But yeah, that's not enough, you know. Well, he told me, you can help me. If you want, you can help me. I said, okay, I will help you on one condition, that I can reach schools, youngsters. Because who the hell build telescopes? Old guys like me, who I retire, they have time. But I want to reach up young people. And he said, you never succeed. Never succeed? I was helping with 984 telescopes until now. That's a lot. So there's, yes, you can succeed. But okay, at a certain time, I got here in my cellar a lot of old telescopes. And he told me, okay, they're garbage. Garbage? Don't know. Gonna see. Okay, this is garbage, away. This is garbage, away. This, I can do something about it. And I have telescope, something like that. It's over there. Then I cannot take it. It's over there, and I tried to renew it. That was a working telescope. And I put it on Facebook. At a certain time, 2014, I get a messenger. Give me your address, I'm gonna send you something. Bruno Ernst, remember? The writer of that book. We talked about 2014. And my answer was, pleased to meet you. I'm Koning Boudewijn and I'm also 10 years dead. Why did I say that? I have an image of that guy, that's Bruno Ernst, about my year of birth, and he was not white, but pepper and salt from hair. So when you, 40 years later, I said, no, he doesn't live anymore. But he told me, yes, I'm the real one. If you're the real one, where do you live? I will come. I'm living in Utrecht, just above the railway station. 2 weeks later, I was at his home. It was the right one. Yeah. And we talked, and I told him, but how did you reach me? How did you find me? And he said, you are restoring a very old telescope, a very special model. Yeah, it's mine. Told him, you can tell me, how old are you? 89. Okay, I respect that, 89. That we're in contact with each other, that's already a miracle. But that it's your telescope, you're crazy. He told me, well, I have invented a type of telescope with a friend of mine in Germany, near München. If you ever get in contact with his children, because that guy died in 1983, yes, Anton Kutter was his name, and you take a search in his observatory, probably you're going to find a duplicate of that telescope. So a few months later, I went to Germany, took contact with the children, searched for a whole day, and I found it. It's over there, duplicate. Because he didn't lie, he was a priest who left the church, but doesn't matter. It was really his telescope. And on my second visit, and that's my story about this SVI, I told them, we are lucky guys. Oh yeah, why? Well, you was a priest, yeah. You teach children about science, a lot of science, was a science teacher, yeah. That's easy. Why? Well, you have in front of you children, youngsters, who have the brains to study, who have the opportunities to study. I'm at the university, okay, I'm in the cellar, but here with me, I have students who have the brains to study. But the rest of the world, not only in the rest of, but also here, in Ghent, in Utrecht, everywhere, there are children who doesn't has this opportunity. Because everyone says you can be whatever you want to be. That's not true. That's really not true. It depends where you are born, where in the world you are born, who your parents are, the opportunities you get, money, everything. That's a whole system. He doesn't work. Okay. And his answer was, do something about it. That's it. That one phrase. Do something about it. Okay. My train trip back home. Do something about it. And I say, okay, we are building telescopes. I want to distribute telescopes, probably to the whole world, with knowledge, free of charge. So I came up with that idea at the university, and once again, you're crazy. You'll never succeed. Don't know. Just gonna try it. where do you get these telescopes? You're going to make it. Are you crazy? A lot of telescope? Yeah, maybe that's over the top. Okay, I can live with that. And I know an amateur astronomer in the Netherlands, and his name is Harry Rutten. And I told Harry my idea, and he said, okay, maybe it's crazy, maybe not. I know the CEO of Bresser. So that's a company in Germany who sell telescopes. Maybe we can ask him. And he brought me in contact with this guy, was Helmut Ebert. And he said, this is a very fine idea. Okay, let's try. I give you the first 10 telescopes for free, and then we will see. And okay, I started. And that was really, it was difficult. It was difficult because I must found someone who supported it. I found Dirk Frimout, our first astronaut. I found Frank de Wenne. Okay, we're going to start. And it worked. One of my first telescopes was in Pakistan. Yumna Mayit, a girl. It was maybe the hardest thing to do, to get a telescope in the hands of a girl in Pakistan. But now she's doing a great job. But okay, it worked, and Helmut told me, that's great. Okay, go on. So we're now 10, 11 years in the future, and he still donates telescopes until now, 100 of them. That's how it started my train trip. Do you know? Okay. It was a long train trip for Utrecht to Ghent, but okay.
I see. It's a beautiful story, amazing story. While listening, I had mixed feelings, all the feelings, inspiration, admiration. Also, it's incredible that, the person you've, from the childhood, read the books of, who inspired you to this, says you that it's impossible. Yeah, but you still did it.
I still did it because we had the same thoughts. And that was very strange. Two people who never were in touch with each other, who have the same thoughts, the same thinking, the same. It's triggering. It's really crazy. And it's not the first time that I met this. Really, it's not the first time.
No, also another point that you mentioned, I think it's quite important that, you can be whoever you want to, but in reality, there are lots of not visible boundaries for people, actually, especially first people who have disabilities, second, also from different countries. Also, I'm from Kazakhstan. It's we have to admit that girls and boys don't have the same opportunities. That's something we need to agree. Yes, they provide the same opportunities, but the perception of the society is different of boys versus girls as well. That's also what I was mentioning you, actually.
Well, they asked me once, can you come to Bangladesh to teach children? I said, no, never. Something else did. Why never? Well, people in Bangladesh have not the same culture as I have. So it's not my goal to teach them things on my point of view. They must have teachers of their own. That's huge important. And that's why I work a lot with, for example, International Astronomical Union, people from Astronomers Without Borders, because they have national outreach coordinators all over the world. So that was my point, and that was the question of Helmut. Okay, I give you telescopes, and I send a telescope to Pakistan. Okay, what the hell are they going to do with a telescope? He was right. So you must have someone in Pakistan who can work with a telescope and who can trigger the children there in their own worlds with their own teachers, not someone of the West. That's important.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Also for the listeners to not misunderstand, what Jean-Pierre is really meaning, and I completely agree with the same side, because several days ago we had a SDG International Days during the SDG calls, where I had to represent my group and also my master's program. I was telling the same, because when you come to one country and trying to deliver your message, meanwhile not adapting your message to the local community, it's somehow it's meaningless, because you have to explain them how they will understand it. You have to speak their language. You have to understand their situation. You have to understand how their society works. So I think that was one of the essential points.
Well, maybe a story, yeah. I told you one of the first telescopes was for Yumna Mayit in Pakistan. And she couldn't get the telescope in her hands to send him to Pakistan with the help of International Astronomical Union. This was okay. But it was in the post office, but she was a girl. And the girl became a biologist, a doctor, okay, but not an astronomer. So a telescope, that was for a guy, not for a girl. But the telescope was signed on her name by Scott Kelly. Scott Kelly was an astronaut, got at that time the record of the time being in space. And I was looking for a boy, who was able to give the telescope to Yumna. And after a few months, several months, we succeed. And Yumna now travels around the world to educate children. So that telescope has helped her. And a fine story of that, very fine story of that, I was at CERN 2 years ago with Beamline for Schools, and there was a Pakistani team. And there were 2 teachers, 2 coaches for the teams. And I told them, I have a connection with Pakistan. Oh yeah, tell me. We're here for 2 weeks, so we still have time. And the morning after, we were at breakfast, and the youngest one said, now you have time, tell us. And I told him just the story of Yumna, and he looked at me in the eyes. Yumna? Yes. He took his smartphone. This Yumna? Yeah. It's a friend of mine. And we're working about telescopes. What the hell? Now, 200 then, I looked for it in Wikipedia, 252 million inhabitants in Pakistan. And you picked up these 2 who know each other. How is this possible? So it's very strange that you met the writer of that book and me, but okay, Belgium, the Netherlands are small. But 2 people in Pakistan. I may be a second one. I was in a lecture here at university, in that building, and I must catch my train to get back home late in the evening at 10 p.m. And I run to the bus stop, and there was a girl sitting down. She was looking at me, a girl of 25, and she was staring. 68, 25. No, sorry, I have no money. Yeah. And she looked at me. You're Jean-Pierre? Yeah. Astronomy project? Yeah. I'm Ghaoula Sharik from Tunisia, and I'm a friend of Sana Ayari, and she received the telescope from you a couple of years ago. We have a telescope in our club from you. What are you doing here? Well, I'm studying. Where do you study? At the university. Where at university? Because at the S8. We were neighbors. We were 9. So she was from Tunisia. It was a few meters from me away. And she knew the telescope. How did you recognize me? From Facebook. And these are that fine stories. So you're in a very small world. Really. It's a very, 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 very small world. And these are fine stories that you stay for the rest of your life. And yes, it makes sense, because that was a question that people asked me, does it make sense? They can eat from the telescopes. I know, there's no food, they can eat from the telescope, but education is important. Education is important. Must they all be astronomers? Hell no. too much, but give us something to be curious. Astronomy has all. There has mathematics, there is optics, there is everything. You can just make your brain works. That's my point. Make that brain works of a child. Make it curious. That's it.
Yeah. Also, wow, that's powerful. That your belief to one person have changed lives of others, and that person is also sharing her own experience and trying to make the same, try to change other people's life. I think that's how the kindness is spread around the world, how the motivation, curiosity. You are on your own work spreading the curiosity to others. Incredible. Thank you. And got the beam of light.
Maybe I will interrupt you. Okay, I did it. I'm the heart and the brain. But we are here on Wednesday with first my colleague who support me for all over the years. He encouraged me. We have 3 volunteers who help making the telescopes, who support me in everything I do. I have the International Astronomy Community because, and also that is important. Okay, you can. It's a fine project. It's a wonderful project. But if you are on your own, it's just limited in time. And if you cooperated with people here in Ghent, but with people around the world, without the International Astronomy Union, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I have over 200 national outreach coordinators who help me around the world. That's important. Okay, I'm the leader of the ship. I'm the captain. But without the crew, you can't lead your ship over the ocean. You need a crew. And that's what I want to say to young people. Learn to cooperate. It's important. So, welcome in my man cave. I can't say anything else. So I have a lot of telescopes here. This one, for example, we have made it by our own group during COVID times because Bresser was not able to deliver telescopes anymore because they were not containers of China. And then we make our telescopes ourselves, and they are signed by a lot of astronauts. Yeah? The usual telescopes we distribute are these ones. So there are simply refractors, 7 kilo, so they are good. Small ones, and of course some special telescopes. I told in the interview about Bruno Ernst, and the inventor of the Kotter telescope, Schiefspiegler, was Anton Kotter, a friend of Bruno Ernst. And I will show you the big one, that's this one. And this is important, of course, but the most important for me is this tiny one. And this tiny one, that was the telescope of Bruno Ernst himself. At least he told me it was. And I couldn't believe it, but he told me, if you are able to go to the observatory of Anton Kotter in Biberach an der Isch near München, the south of Germany, and you will search in his observatory, probably you will find the duplicate of it. And yes, I did. So it's indeed the same. This one is made by Anton Kotter, was an engineer, filmmaker, and this one was from Bruno Ernst. So he didn't lie. Yeah? He told me the truth, and it's a really the same telescope. There are only two of them in the whole wide world. They are here. They are here with me. Voilà. And in the last years of his life, that same Bruno Ernst asked me, I want to have the smallest Cutter telescope in the world. And I told him, you already have? It's this one. Yeah, I want a smaller one. But your friend told in his books that it wasn't impossible at that type of telescope to build them smaller. Okay, but Anton Cutter died in 1983. So we're, at that time, 2016, 2017. And I couldn't build it myself, but I asked a friend of mine to try it. That's the smallest one. So if you see the optics of this one here, can you see it? It's 30 millimeter. So concerning Anton Cutter, this was the smallest one. This is it now. Because now you have a computer simulation. You must you don't have calculated manually. But it was very tricky for the mirrors. You need a machine, and I don't have that machine. But if you have good friends, you can discuss about it. And he has made one. It's the smallest one, a 30 millimeter, and you can see the craters of the moon with it. So it works. It works a lot. So that's it. And of course I have my babies, my newest babies, like this one. This is SSVI in a box. And I started it a couple of years ago, and I have a good reason with it. Because I realize that you can't distribute telescopes for free for your whole life. So it has to end once. And then, well, we are a group telescope building of our observatory Armand Pien. And I say, okay, let's talk about how do they make the telescopes of their own, small ones. And you have mirror cells. Secondary are here some examples, 3D printing, but you can also build it in wood. You see the screws. You can assemble it, disassemble it 1,000 times, and you can learn of it. The good thing about this is you learn to know how optics worked, how a telescope worked, why you must collimate, you must line up the optics. That's important for the child to learn. How are things working? Why this? Why that? And that's now our new thing. SSVI in a box. Why in a box? Well, because you can disassemble it, you put it in a box, you put it away, and next school year you have other children who can learn from it. That's what we do now. They are all signed a few days ago by Frank de Wenne. Frank de Wenne is our second Belgian astronaut, and he's director of the astronaut training center in Köln. And he told me that when he said, when you started with this, I thought, okay, 1, 2, 3 years maybe, and it's over. And he told me every difficulty you discover, you survived it. Of course. Of course, that's what I do. If COVID came, Bresser told me you must have sabbatical year or 2. And my answer was, I will have a sabbatical year when I am dead. That's it. Then as much as you want. Yeah, but you can't distribute telescopes on COVID times because people can't take part of it and group to a telescope. Yes, okay, he was right. Do something else. What did it? I told children, we have the internet. Okay, let's organize a contest, drawing contest, something like that. Yeah? Show me what you do, send me, and I will send you a small present. And that's what I did. And so the project Starsight for Everyone survived COVID times, sabbatical year. Why? Why? Because children, give them something. Also in COVID times, they needed it. They needed it, really. When we started, okay, you must have something catchy. And one of our volunteers here in our working group is an amateur artist. Amateur, I hate that word. He's an artist. And I asked him, he was part of a group. They were with 5 in his group. And okay, can you paint? That was our very first assembly. Can you decorate it to a catchy thing? And we have 5 of them. We distribute 4 around the world. And this one, I keep it from a showpiece. And it's very nice. It's very nice done. And in the beginning, yeah, this has a special meaning. Meaning, this is the hand of the grandmother, and this is the hand of the grandson. And this is great. It was, yeah, this was a connection. And the first year, we made a lot of them in wood. But okay, 10, 20, 30 in a year, it's feasible. But when the project growed and growed and growed, I talked about 100. And they want to struggle me because that was too difficult. And I talked to Bresser and I said, okay, give me the complete assemblies. Now I have the complete assemblies and they can start up with to make this one. It's not so much work because it must be feasible. Also, I have the ideas, but you must have people who can help to make the ideas come true. Okay, so I started with as a volunteer at the Public Observatory Armand Pien in Ghent. And one of our professors, astronomy, was Professor Herwig de Jonge. And Professor de Jonge, he started the working group Kijkerbouw, telescope building, here in Ghent. Why? Because with the telescope, when he was a student, he won a prize. And that's his telescope. He has made it in the 60s. And that's the story how our working group here was started. He was professor here at University in Ghent, and he invented that group. And he gave us that telescope as an example. I told you about this telescope of Bruno Ernst and the other one of his friend Anton Kutter. Well, Anton Kutter was a filmmaker, and you can see it on the statue. It's a film statue. Yeah, it's over 100 years old. It's an old one, and this one, it should be the first telescope he made on that type. It called in that days Kutter telescopes because his name was Anton Kutter, but Anton Kutter didn't want to have his name on it, and he called it Schiefspiegler. Schief because it's not straight. It's a very strange type of telescope. But Bruno Ernst introduced it as Kutter telescope. This was the first one, and I was the children of Anton Kutter, and I told them, here there is a small cap and it's closed. Why? And the oldest son, he was at that time 82, he told me, well, my father invented a type of telescopes and he discovered that without a correction lens, it doesn't work. So he put his correction lens here, and he saw that it was not good. Then he replaced it to another place. That other place is here, and then it works. So it's an object of study. It's the very first one. And that's why I like it that much. Because he learned about the things he didn't wrong. Well, without our Professor de Jonge, I never could start with a project like that. He supported me a lot during all those years. And at a certain time, okay, I told you, the wooden tripods, it was difficult to make, and I want to start it with the SSVI in a box, but also with at least 100 pieces a year, and that was a lot. So I needed a 3D printer. And I asked Adam, can I have a 3D printer? And he came down in my cellar. It's for one of your projects? Yet. Okay, you will get one. I got a 3D printer, and it worked very fine. It's a heavy one, and it's an expensive one. Yep. It's 4 years old, I guess, now. And now, 2 years later, I was at the reception at the observatory, and he asked me, that 3D printer, does it work? Yes, it worked, but, what but? Well, I have so many work. It is working day and night. It never stops. Yeah. Do you need a second one? And I didn't give an answer. And the day after I wake up, what did he said? A second one? So I sent him an email, Erwig, you talked about the second one. Was it serious or was it just laughing? And he answered me, it was half serious, half laughing. If you give me a good reason, you will give us a second one. 48 hours later, we have a second one. And the third one is from Izero Belgium, but it's broken. So we're going to see what happened. So we have now 2 good working 3D printers. He's one of the first astronauts who signed the project Starsight for Everyone. I think it was in 2016. So it's 8-9 years ago. It was Alexander Gerst. He flew 2 times, and he was just back from the ISS from the first time. And he promoted in 2018 Starsight for Everyone above at the ISS, at the International Space Station. He was commander at that time. So he put it on his Twitter account, and it has a lot of likes.
So, what is the nature of our universe? What is it made of? To answer these questions, physicists and engineers at CERN use the world's largest and most complex scientific instruments to study the basic constituents of matter, fundamental particles. Subatomic particles are made to collide together at the speed of light. The process gives us clues about how particles interact and provides insight into the fundamental laws of nature. This is main epicenter for groundbreaking discoveries about our origins, the origin of the universe and perhaps beyond. So I'm truly honored to be hosting someone who has direct involvement with CERN. So could you tell our listeners more about your work involvement at CERN?
That's really something incredible that happened in my life. In 2020, in COVID times, I told you about the International Astronomical Union, the president of the union at that time was Erwin van Deshoek, professor in the Netherlands. I know her very well. And I know also her husband, Tim de Zeeuw. And he was at that time the boss of Paranal in Chile, of the ESO telescopes. And I was on their home, and Tim asked me, what's on your bucket list? So my bucket list? To live a bit longer, in the first place, of course. And I want to go to CERN. I want to visit CERN. What's up? Is that on your bucket list? Just go to CERN. Go to CERN, it's not so easy. We're in COVID times. There will be probably 1 or 2 weeks who will say, I will give you a phone number of someone. And a couple of weeks later, I was visiting CERN. And I have a friend in the university in Namur, and he said, CERN had plans to set up an internship for high school students, Belgian high school students. Will you help us for the Flemish part? We need 14 young people for an internship for 2 weeks at CERN. Yeah, maybe I will help. So I was at CERN, and the organizer, François Briard, was there, and he asked me this question again, will you help me? Yes, I will help you. And I helped them, and we had together, Cedric from Namur and me, 583 applications. And we need 24 youngsters in general. So we could make a choice. And François told me, are you able to come for those 2 weeks? No, sorry, but I have a big project. I must make choices, or I go to CERN for 2 weeks, but then my project can't go on, so no, but I will come for 2-3 days. And I came for 2-3 days, and at a certain time, Margarita Bosselli passed by, and she was the organizer of Beamline for Schools physics project. And she asked me, I saw what you did with the internship. I saw also what you do with SSVI, Start Sign for Everyone. Please, can you help us also? Can we mean something for each other? Yeah, I can try. So my task was spread the word. That's what the best I can do, spread the word. And she asked me, can you be part of the jury? No, I can't. Why not? Because I have no education of physics, so it would be no honest to take part in the jury. But what I can do, I will be with you, and I will listen, and I will learn. And then I will come 2 weeks at CERN, and I will go with the students, the 2 weeks, and learn. And I did it now for the 3rd time. I'm still learning. And this is wonderful. And this is what I do. So I'm not the smartest guy in the world. No, not at all. But what the hell? So I'm learning new things. I'm with young people, and I have always my telescopes with me. So I show them the sun. We held 2-3 stargazing moments in those 2 weeks. So I learn them new things, and they learn new things at me, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I provide for Beamlights for Schools also 15 telescopes yearly. And in 2025, the telescopes will sign by 5 Nobel Prize winners physics. So that's not bad.
No,
that's what I do.
Yeah, as well, Nobel Prize winners signature on your telescope, and you giving away these telescopes to children around the world, especially girls. I think that's incredible work. Like no one would have dared to think that this could be possible, but you are the person who's making it.
Yeah, because I told to the Nobel Prize winners, I have not much signatures on my own. I'm with him on the table, we drink coffee, and we discussed. That's enough. But all the signatures, telescopes, go to that children. Why? Because they must know that important people support them. Not me, but support them. And this is important. This is important for the young guys, that they know these people, these important people, scientist telescopes, and I have one of them. So I'm important too. Because I know everywhere in the world there are really smart children. And the only thing that they need is that they be supported and that someone give an opportunity. A small thing. Not much, but a small thing, that their brains are working. And that they learn, just like I did. On your own, you can do a lot. And then you must catch people. You cannot choose your family. You can choose your friends. Choose them good, because it's important.
So how do you pick among so many countries one child who you will send this telescope?
Okay.
With a strong message, of course.
Yeah, I understand. No. You can do two things. Maybe I didn't explain that right. You're right. I don't give it to one particular child. Never. Because that's dangerous. When you give assigned telescopes, this collector item, and you give it to one person, it will be in a closet or in a chamber, and it's very nice and it stays there. No, we give it to groups. We give it to groups, and we, that's the International Astronomical Union, for example, we take care that there's someone who can educate those children with the telescopes. So the telescopes is property by a group who educate children. And yes, sometime to a group of children on their own. But it's a property of more than one. Because when you choose one child, that's not honest. Because, okay, I don't know that child. So you give a child to person one, yeah, why not at person two? That's wrong. So you must see that person one, child 1, 2, 3, 4, that they all can use the telescope, that they all can pick up that knowledge. That's important. Not at one individual.
And do you, when you're giving it to the group, do you provide them also some special courses or as well, right? How to set up the telescope or how to observe the sky?
Yeah. There are our national outreach coordinators. There are educators. There are all educators, and they all work with other teachers. Yeah, so they have a telescope. At sich is nothing. It's just a tube with a lens. That's it, and it's nice. Yes, but you must distribute knowledge, and that therefore we have someone. For one example, we have someone in Morocco, and that guy took a telescope as a backpack and go to the mountains, small school in the Little Atlas Mountains. I educated children there. That's why we do it. One guy, one teacher who's going to schools in the middle of nowhere to educate children there. And the children had the wow feeling every time. So Ewin, president of the International Astronomical Union, told me once, you must take a look in Africa and everywhere. No, why not? First, my health is not so good to travel that far. That's one point. 2, when I traveled around the world, that's not my goal. And 3, everyone told me the feedback. So I know what's good, and okay, that's important, but I love to know what goes wrong. Because then I can learn something. What can I do better? And the first telescopes were this one, big ones. And this guy in Morocco told me, fine telescopes, really fine, but it's too big. It's too heavy in my backpack. Okay. So now I have smaller ones. Because he told me, okay, I can see more things with a big telescope, but school is during the day. Where you can show him the moon also during the day, early or at 5 p.m. I said something, and we can catch the sun. That's enough. Then I can tell my story. But I don't hurt my back with with a heavy telescope, and that's why. So okay, what can be better? It's important to listen to people. Absolutely.
Mhm. With all the environmental at the moment, given our time, and political challenges we are facing, how do you see the role of science in shaping humanity's future? Do you think soft skills are equally important? Would you describe yourself as a realistic optimist or pessimist about, well, definitely a realistic optimist, where we are headed, and what areas do you think need more attention? Ultimately, how hopeful are you about humanity's future?
That's a very difficult question, but
This is a deep question, but you can
yeah,
take your time.
yeah, I'm very happy that you arrived now and not 2 weeks earlier, because now I can answer. I was also involved in Solvay student camps at CERN. And Solvay student camps now in autumn, a few weeks ago, just back from CERN. It was a whole week, 30 students, 16, 17 years old, of 30 countries. 30 countries, Sweden, Beirut, Belgium, the Netherlands. They come from South Korea, Japan, China, all over the world. And these were all young people who didn't know each other, not at all. And after just one evening, they became friends. Really, they became friends. And okay, I was at CERN, and sometimes you have a connection with young people that you say, okay, you have a click, but I didn't feel it. I saw them, and when you see that everything is all right, okay, I leave them. I leave them. But my task at this time was to make sure that everyone was on time, on the place, because it was a very loaded program. So a minute was a minute. So I was a cop. I was really a cop. Now this, now this, now this. And I told to the organizer, they're gonna hate me. But no, yes, I sure they're gonna hate me. And really they were also, but the last day, they came all to me and crying. They were crying, how happy they are, and thank you for what, but because of you, we succeeded to all those lectures, to all those things, because you were strict, you have leaders. And look, I have a book of François Angler. François Angler is our Nobel Prize winner, a Belgian Nobel Prize winner physics, was along with Peter Higgs. And he has written a message in my book. You can read it then. And I said to all those youngsters, okay, I have that book with me, and it's signed by Nobel Prize winner. That's fine. But he's 91. He's, okay, the past, that's, but you know what I mean? He's got already his Nobel Prize. And I said, you're 16, 17 years old, 16, 17. Maybe one of you will become a great scientist. You never know. So do me a favor, stop crying, do me a favor, and just write your name on that book and the country. You can do it in your own language, you can do it what you want, but please do it, because it's a fine remember for me. And they did it. I have not my glasses on, but you can read it by yourself. That's for a girl. And it touched me.
Yeah. So it's written with a pen. Thank you so much for everything, Jean-Pierre. It was such a pleasure to meet you and be with you for the whole week. And I'm so grateful for everything. You, there's CC for us, or EE for us. Keep changing people's lives and being the kind soul you are. I'm going to miss you.
That's what I mean when you ask me, what do you think about the world? What do you think about the future? Well, the future is in the hands of young people. Yeah? And the world is, at this time, not so good. But there are still a lot of good people with a lot of good meanings. And I'm convinced after bad times, there are coming good times. all the time. You have a curve, it is not always like that. So like that, go like that, go like that, go like that. And that's the world. That's the world. Also with Beamlight for Schools, I had that click too. And I was giving a lecture, one of lectures of Starship for Everyone. And look at the green text.
After your presentation, I knew I also wanted to do something bigger. Carmen.
Yeah, and Carmen was one of the coaches of the Estonian team. And she was cool, but we have a certain distance. When I see that the youngsters are happy, then I go back a little bit. I just see it. Everything is okay, that's okay. And afterwards, it's a tradition on Beamlight for Schools that everyone put his name on our shirts. Just name and country. And you can see they did a lot more of that. Yeah, it's for me a fine remember, but also an answer on your question. When you see that young people doing this and that you touch them, yes, I'm a realistic optimist. Yeah, never a pessimist. But when you're really a pessimist, you ruin the world. You say, I'm a pessimist, okay, there is no hope. Yeah, when there is no hope, stop living, please. Stop your life, because it makes no sense anymore. So, but a realistic, you must say, okay, it's all good. No, it's not all good. Everything can always better. But I'm still hope that there are a lot of young people, young fine people, they are the leaders of the world in the future. And I told them that, so make something good of your life. That's important. And start with yourself.
I think that's a very strong message there. Yet it seems simple. Start from yourself. I'm 27 at the moment, and this is the age where you are entering the world in a much more realistic, seeing the world in a naked and there are lots of things happening. This is, I think, also the age when you start building yourself as a person in the long term. This will mostly remain the character, where your character is being built. And in this sense, I want to ask you, do you think that there are some soft skills that people should not give up and should always keep next to them and keep building strong attention to these soft skills? Kindness, being generous, nice to others, believing in others.
Absolutely. Absolutely, that's the most important thing is never give up. When you have something in mind and it's good, be convinced of yourself. Be convinced that it's good and do everything. And that's what I told to Yumna. That's what I told to her, never give up. Because she was intended to give up. She had in Pakistan so many difficulties that she can say, I can't do it anymore. And I have a long talk with her, hours and hours. And I said, oh yes, you can. Yes, but I won't live anymore. Oh yes, you need, because you have my telescope. I was always laughing with that. So yes, because I need you. And I know you will succeed. And she did. But you must fight for it. And I told her, if everything goes smooth, it's not fun. Really, it's too easy. When I made my first telescope, I made it in 3 months and everything was perfect. And what did I learn? Nothing. Really nothing. It goes like that. So what did I for the second telescope? I make a mess of it. Really, the optics I created errors in it, but really bad errors. And I learned a lot of things. I made the errors and I tried to correct them. Then you learn a lot. And that's what I tell to everything. If you don't succeed in the first time, great. Try to detect what you did wrong. And if you know what you did wrong, make a correction. And when you don't succeed the second time, okay, look back and step by step, you will succeed. And I'm very, 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 very convinced of that. You will succeed. But you must try it, learn from the things that go wrong, and then it's fun. When you then succeed, you have a wow feeling. And then you keep your enthusiasm.
Yeah, I also liked one of the speech you mentioned that choose your friends wisely and be careful with your friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Describe more.
It's about the good guys and the bad guys, more or less. When you choose your good friends who have the intention to do good things, that you can learn from each other, that you can make a compilation with each other, that you can work together with each other on a project, then you have good friends. Yeah. Don't drink, don't steal, don't trade drugs. There's so many things like that. It's a choice. It's really a choice. When you're born in a country, don't gonna name it. It's too delicate, but you know what I mean. If you have a dictature, you can't do what you want. If you not the good friends, the bad friends, you can enter in jail. Just to name something. But when you choose your good friend, when you get the opportunity to study, when someone gives you the opportunity, take it with both hands. And there is a phrase we have here in Belgium, wie goed doet, goed ontmoet. And that means when you do good things, the good things will follow up with each other automatically. And when you're doing the bad things, yeah, it also goes, but then you go down. Then you go down. But when you do good things, I had no education. I did no study in education, is something else. But I have no study, but I have here the supports of everyone at the university. I have the supports of my professors. And when they explain me something and I don't understand, and they ask me, do you get it? No. No, it's not a shame to not understand. And they explain, because they know I won't learn, so they help me. And when you choose your good friends, good professors, you name it, then you will succeed in life, one way or the other. Maybe not from the first time, but at last you will succeed.
Important is not giving up.
Absolutely.
Keep trying.
Yeah, never give up. Mm-hmm. It's not in my vocabulary.
That's not an option.
Oh no, that's not an option.
Yeah, since we are born.
I have it once made it. I was the optic of that small telescopes of Bruno Ernst. I tried to make it. It was noted in his book. And I tried it, but it doesn't work. Because, okay, he could make it, but to explain it, that's a good teacher and a bad teacher. It doesn't work. And I put it on the internet. Sorry, I can't do it. Give it up. I give it up. And 10 minutes later, I got an answer from someone. But I know how to do it. Okay. And I will learn it. Okay. So I succeeded. So never give up. So I give it up and someone else say, yeah, but I can help. I know how to do it. And then, okay. Then you succeed.
Yeah. I guess it's also for youngsters at the moment, given the privilege of internet, we are easily distracted as well. It's easy to find a reason to give up. Yes, I didn't like the teacher, or I didn't like how they explained me. Just a personal experience, when I was learning English, even back in my home country, one of the teachers wasn't good enough, and everyone kept complaining. Meanwhile, I was already, a few of my friends and me, we were already looking which teacher we should choose next time. So we are trying to find a solution in this case.
Well, a fine story, brand new one. I know it from 2 weeks. There was in 1847 a young student. And that young student was, okay, what should I study in the university? Music, physics, music, I don't know. And he went to a professor at university, and he asked the professor, okay, I'm involved with music, I like it very much, but I also like very much physics. What should I choose? And that professor told him, 1847, he told them, choose music. Because physics, there is, in my advice, no future in it, because we have discovered almost everything. So choose music. You know who that student was? Max Planck. That was Max Planck. So luckily for us, he chose physics. Yeah, this is a true story. The story was that student was Max Planck. So if someone give you advice, maybe it's a good idea to find the second one and to look what's possible. Because if a teacher or a professor say, okay, explanation A, that doesn't mean that that explanation is the right one. You must let work your brains yourself and look for someone else if needed. Yeah? So in your country, when you don't reach the right teacher, you must look for another one. Luckily, we have the internet now. Yeah? So it's the internet, it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing, like everything. Yeah? So use it good. There is a lot of it, and you can find a lot of it.
For the audience who is thinking who might be Max Planck, or I will look it up later, he's a physicist, German physicist. Please correct me if I'm wrong. He worked with electromagnetism.
Yeah.
He built the original theory or somewhat theory of quantum physics,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So his influence in the development of physics in the future is very impactful. So
absolutely, the impact of Max Planck was enormous. Yeah.
And this is just one person who decided to do physics instead of music. If he have done music, perhaps we would be still wondering what is quantum physics.
If he listened to his professor, okay, he will maybe be a great musician, but it was a loss for science.
Yeah. What advice would you give to your younger self? Also, any message for young generation? So first, let's start from the advice for your younger self.
But for my younger self, people ask me a lot, if you could go behind 60 years ago, what did you choose your life on another way? Maybe to try to study? I don't know. I don't know, because I know what happened in my life until now. I have a project. I have a lot of young people. I have a lot of good people who help me. But if I choose another way, maybe I have never reached that. So no, I don't regret my life. And that's my advice to everyone, to young people. If you have something in your mind that you love to do, is it mathematics, is it science, is it music, whatever, just go for it. Just go for it. Try to do the good things, learn from it, and do it from your heart. Because when you try to do something, okay, I must be an architect, and I will be an architect, but I don't like it, but someone else tell me, okay, I can reach a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. You'll never be happy. You'll never be happy. So do what your heart told you. And go for it. And never give up.
How to keep curious and open-minded?
Well, I go back to that Bruno Ernst. He has 30 years ago, 25 years ago, there was a movie about of his life. And in the beginning, he told, you see a child, a little child, hand of his mother. And he see the world. One of the first time he's curious and everything. He looked about the cars, to the church, to the sky, to everything new. And the wonder in his eyes. You must keep that for your whole life. If you're 3 years old, 4 years old, 50, 60 years old, be wonder. If you see new things, try to capture it. There are a lot of things to discover in our world, really. Not only in the sky, but in your own neighborhood. And please, keep that curiosity. And when you keep that curiosity, you keep your mind fresh. And you learn think positive. Also, life isn't positive at all. We know that, but you can capture the good things. And when you capture the good things in life, you have a good life. And you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot to others. And you will be happy. You will be here. That's the key for a happy life. Stay curious, and keep up a good mind.
Can you share a recent personal discovery or realization that made you think, wow, I never knew that, or something that struck you as deeply meaningful?
The youngsters who signed my book and that t-shirt, that's give me a wow feeling. Because I have no click with them. They were very, very smart, a lot smarter than I am. So they didn't need me to succeed in life. I know that there were very intelligent guys and very decent boys and girls, really very intelligent, so they didn't need me. And I say, okay, I leave them. They will look their own way. And when you see what they have written on that book, on that t-shirt, that gives me a wow. That gives me a wow that you can say, I met people that I thought, okay, they just passed by in my life for a few days and it's over. And now we're connected. They found me on Instagram, they connected with me, we started talk to each other. This just gives me a wow feeling that you find people, that you met people, and that you still get friends after even several years. I have still contact with the Pakistani teachers, still with them, and also with students. And that gives me a wow feeling, just a connection with people. Not only the science and the discoveries I leave that to others, but the small things in life. It's important. Because the small things, if you don't accept the small things in life, you don't have anything. Believe me. Friendship is important. It's very important.
Perhaps I could ask it additionally. Why specifically did you focus? Because I think this is very smart and this is very thoughtful of you that for girls, specifically focusing on girls.
Yeah. I have 2 projects. Not many people know that, but I have more of one. Because we have 2 astronauts. And I asked Dirk Frimout to be to parent it Star Sign for Everyone. And Star Sign for Everyone in the beginning was intended to teach children with disabilities. But disabilities, when you live in Afghanistan and you can't set something and you don't have the chance to study, that's also a disability in my eyes. Okay, so I have Star Sign for Everyone, but we have a second astronaut, Frank de Wenne. He's director of the European Astronaut Center in Köln in Germany. And I told him, okay, Star Sign for Everyone, I want a second one, Science for Girls. As a matter of fact, it's the same. It's the same, but Science for Girls, I try to bring science to girls in countries where it is not easy. I have a telescope in a group, Afghanistan group, but the girls of some of them are refugees now in Germany, and they hope that they can come to Afghanistan again. But they have the telescope, they learn in Germany, and sooner or later, they're going back. Science for girls. Yumna Mayit, telescope in Pakistan for a girl, not done. Now she's into spaceflight, she's into astronomy for youngsters, children, and her own country. Science for girls. You know, when you can, we have internet now. And when you can open a world for the girls in India, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, everywhere in the world, try it. That's also stars for everyone. Everyone, boy, girl, whatever. Doesn't mind. It's not of my business. Just go for it and just try to do things who others said you can't do. Yes, you can. Absolutely.
I want to conclude this episode with one last final question. Because you seem like a person who created his own meaning of life. But I want to ask you still, what is the meaning of life for you?
I don't have a clear answer on it, but if you really ask it, the meaning of life is, my meaning of life is help each other. Help another, because if they ask me at university everywhere, how long will you do this? And I told them as long as I can, because when I stop, what's the meaning of my life at that time? I have no purpose anymore. Okay, I have children, I have grandchildren, but yeah, well, the meaning of life is to help other people succeed. Maybe not the big things, but the small things. That's my meaning of life.
Great. Thank you very much. And this episode is also special for me because, to be completely honest, I'm in front of the person and interviewing the person who's one of my, celebrity, you might say in different meanings, but you are a celebrity for me, actually. I've heard a lot because I'm also a volunteer at Armand Pien, heard a lot of good things and people all the time mentioning your name is good messages. And when you agreed to give this interview, I just jumped off my chair. I was sitting at my working desk. I was like a little kid jumping off my chair and very happy. So you're still spreading a lot of positivity and your work is incredible. You've changed many people's life. This is, I'm not saying just to have nice words at the end of each episode, but this is true because I'm also from one of the Central Asian countries and I know how difficult it could be for girls to pursue science, to pursue men-dominated areas most of the time in those countries, specific countries. So what you're doing is truly changing lives of one person at a time. That person is, again, as you said already in your story, changing other people's lives. So you are spreading exponentially kindness, curiosity, open-mindedness. So thank you very much.
If I may close,
Yes.
I started at Armand Pien because our working group, Kijkerband, about telescope making, as part of Armand Pien. And I'm a celebrity. No, you are a celebrity. I listen to your podcast. You send me an example. That's your way to spread the world. So what's the difference? We're doing the same? We're really doing the same. Me on my way, you on your way. So you're even important than I am. There is no difference.
We will make the world a great place. full of love, curiosity, and full of kindness.
That's it. Thank you.